Ni hao, Stephanie. I gotta be honest with you. It's Friday. That's not what I need to be honest about. That's just a fact. It's Friday. My test is Sunday. And I'm in a dark place. A dark, dark place. I can't help thinking about language learning and depression, or language learning and isolation. I could tell you about all the people I'm watching on YouTube and all the honest moments that they have online about their own sanity and peace and struggle with this crazy world that we live in. But I'm not, because I don't have to. I wouldn't say that I struggle with depression so much as I struggle with, I don't even know what to call it. Life? I mean, there are moments when I really, really, really don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I left a PhD program that I thought that would fit like a glove, with not just a career choice, but what I wanted to do. I really, really, really wanted to help people who wanted to express themselves in the written form in a second language. I really wanted to help them get there faster. I really wanted to help people relax and enjoy the expression process. All the while, I've never been able to express myself in a second language. Spoken, written, you name it. Those are probably the two productive ways that can be done. But I figured I seem to be able to make an impact on helping others do it, so there you go. And it was a way that I could stay within languages without the daunting task of constantly facing my own failure, of not being able to do it. But the program didn't fit the very high expectations I had, and I don't think anything would have, because honestly, I feel like all of that happened to get me here, to face the things that are really obstructing my ability to do this. And I know that is the delivery guy in my hallway, that if you hear that person talking. Anyway, so this is what I've been doing for over a year. I've been facing my fears, but I've been playing with the Chinese language the first few months, and then starting this year, I've been really, really uploading the HSK stuff. HSK 3 starting next week. Anyway, I've been uploading that vocabulary into my head, and I'm intentionally using that word because I'm not going to be able to produce anything for a while. Language-wise, it's not how I work. I need a lot of input before I can output, and I've never been patient enough before to wait through that. It could be an entire 2.5, 3 years of absorbing the language before I finally produce any of it in spoken, or I'm hoping written form, which I didn't realize I wanted to do until I started to really talk to a few folks about writing recently, and which I didn't even know I wanted to do until I remembered that was my first love. Writing really is my first love. My fingers literally tingle when I write. I get a force of energy that goes through me, and I'm not a religious person, but I am a spiritual person. And I don't think that means I'm touched by something. I think that means that I'm doing what, should's a bad word. I don't like should. What makes my heart beat, which is writing. And I have a lot of reasons, physical reasons, why I don't write anymore. But there are other ways now with technology. So I feel like all of that happened, and it led me to use language learning as a distraction to get over the heartbreak of that plan not working, was actually the point. I feel like all of that happened to lead me here, but I feel like I dove into language learning again in such an extreme way that it became a distraction. And I feel like I may have band-aided a little bit. Ironic, considering these aren't band-aids, these are, I don't even know what they're called. But they're not band-aids. It's not holding anything in, it's pushing, I guess it's holding my muscles in. I don't know how to describe it. Anyway, so what am I saying? I'm saying I think when I started the HSK language dump, the vocabulary goal this year, I think I may be using the language to cover up some stuff I'm not dealing with. And that comes out at the end of each section. Like at the end of HSK 1, it started to come out and I went, and pushed it back. And now it's like 2 days away from HSK 3, and I've allowed myself a week to 2 weeks of very little language learning. I'm not going to touch the workbook. I may do some vocabulary, but I'm not going to do the 2 hours a day that I normally do. And part of me is terrified because then there's that gap of me that will come out. All that stuff I've been ignoring will come out that I haven't dealt with really for a year and a half. And I need to deal with it. And it's not all bad. It's not all bad. That program that I talk about was actually one of the biggest growth periods I've had, personally, professionally, physically, medically. There's so much good stuff that happened during that time period. Me leaving was not a failure. Me leaving was me getting refined on what I needed, wanted, and could do in life. That was probably one of the most successful periods of my life. Sorry, 2 years, but it wasn't just a 2-year period that was the point. But I need to deal with that. So this leads me to my question. And I'm not saying the language learning was, sorry, I'll get to my question in a second. I'm not saying my language learning has been bad. It's been amazing. And for the first time in my life, I feel like if I keep going, I will eventually get there. And I may very well figure out, I keep talking about these pillars of obstacles that I have used to keep me from getting there, because I truly believe it's my hang up at this point. I really, really believe it's my hang up or hang ups that have stopped me. I don't think anymore it's a cognitive deficit. I think it's something that I have that has stopped me. And that's hard to deal with. But I don't regret any of this, and I'm not saying I used language to stop me from dealing with life. I'm not completely saying that. You're just seeing the serious side of something that's much bigger. Because that's what you do when you communicate. You have a very narrow range of things that you can talk about at any given time. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could talk with like different, how would you even describe that thought how could I describe that thought I just had? Like if you could talk about different things at the same time, so people could see a full picture view of everything you're meaning without having to use word to just talk about this very, very tunnel visioned idea that I'm having. So this tunnel vision idea is that although this language learning experience over the past almost year and a half has been incredibly productive and very, very, very revelatory, there's still some things I haven't dealt with. And I think in some small way, I've used the act of working on the language to ignore some things with life before starting to learn this language. I wouldn't call it an addiction. I wouldn't say it's horrible. It just keeps bubbling up right before the tests, because then there's the gap of time, and then I realize I need to deal with me. So I don't know. So the question is this, for those of you who really, really enjoy language learning, why? Are you looking for another group of folks to communicate with? Are you hoping to fit in another culture? Because I think part of me has always had that hope. Are you looking to skill up for employment purposes? There's plenty of people that are doing that. Are you looking to just keep busy? And that is something that you do well in, so you keep doing that in different forms. There's a lot of languages, so there's a lot to keep busy. Are you doing it because it brings you sheer joy? I don't want to throw out just negative reasons. But is it possible that the act of language learning can help us mask other things? And on the positive side, is it possible that language learning can help us cope with hard things? I think it can, especially when you get to a level where you can communicate in the language, which again, I haven't reached yet, but I imagine that would be pretty freaking liberating. Is it? I don't know. Future self, is it? All of you guys, is it? I don't know. I've never got why people liked studying languages. My previous experiences up to this have been awful. The process has been awful. Teaching it was wonderful, which is part of the hypocrisy of my life. But doing it myself has been awful until I started doing it. I started self-studying last year. I literally just got this delivery for my workbook a few minutes ago for HSK 3 that I'll start next week. And I could not have been happier. When I came home last night from my study session in a coffee shop at like 10:30 at night, and this wasn't there, I was really bummed because I was ready. I have all my study book pages torn up, and I need to pair them with the workbook pages, but the workbook wasn't here, and I was really, really looking forward to this process of getting this stuff ready for after HSK 2. I've got the vocab sheet, I've got these two things matched up, I'm ready to go. I've got my new flashcards, blank flashcards, and I'm ready. And there's something very cathartic and really fun in, now that I know, when I do these exercises and I look at this vocabulary the first time, I know it's frustrating. I know some of them I might find delightful to look at, and some of them I will absolutely bang my head against the wall and think that I'll never remember the look of the word and the sound of the word. And that a few weeks later, after just a few repetitions, I will. I've seen that now for, 6 months? Again and again and again and again with HSK 1 and HSK 2. This is now a truth. I never thought that would happen. And yeah, I'm doing this haphazardly, kind of. I'm definitely not doing this in a traditional manner. I'm ignoring most explicit grammar instruction because I think I'm keen on picking up patterns, and I want to get the vocabulary and slowly pick up the patterns of the language. But this is all very, 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 very new to me. I've seen my students go through this, but I've never gone through this. And although I can't show you anything to show how great and this feels and how much further I've come in this language than any other language I've attempted, I can't produce anything to show you that. But I feel that. But there is part that feels like I've used the act of studying for this language as a band-aid and as a distraction to not deal with some other stuff. Do you guys ever do that? I don't know. And it's not some super deep-seated stuff that's going to ruin me and I'll go offline for a year and a half. It's just... And is it bad? Because it's built up my language learning confidence in a way that I didn't know it could be built. I didn't know I would ever like studying a language. I didn't know I'd ever like the process. I always thought I'd like it if I got fluent, but that gigantic period between starting and fluency always felt awful to me. It doesn't feel awful anymore because of dissecting my process for you guys and for my future self and talking with you guys about it and watching some of you go through it as well. Although 99.9% of you are on multiple languages and I'm still trying to get one extra language. Regardless of all that, this has been really enjoyable. This has become one of the things that I enjoy most in life. Nothing will ever take over writing. That's my first love. That will always be the warm, fuzzy thing that I'll never get rid of. But this is becoming a close second. Okay, wait, music. Yeah, there's fights. There's fights with my loves. But this is in the top 5. Okay, well, let's just say that. This has become a huge part of my life, and I never anticipated it. I wanted the skill. I never thought I would like the process. I wanted the skill, but I never thought I would like the process. I liked the process teaching it. I never thought I would like the process learning it. It still makes me think about that video I made the other day on the disparity between classrooms and self-study joy. How can we make language learning classrooms include more of this self-study joy? Because this cool community that's built up on YouTube about language learning, this language stuff, this self-study learning about how you study and about using different resources, and this is such an interesting process, not mine, just in general. And I learned a lot of what I do from you guys and from different people that posted like how to self-study online and that kind of thing. So I'm not saying I created it. I'm just saying I've had the blessing of being in it, participating in it. But can it be too much? Can we get lost in it? Can you get lost in any hobby? Can you get lost in any act? You can see that I'm pretty torn. I feel like in some way this saved my brain from feeling wasted because my brain couldn't find a home. And I feel like it found a place to peacefully exist with this process. And yet, on the other hand, I feel like it's taken over. I feel like I can not think about anything else a lot of days. I'm constantly thinking about my language learning plan, the actual language itself. I can't wait to open up my workbook pages and see how much I've progressed since the last time I touched it. I can't wait to touch my freaking flashcards that that Crystal thinks I'm obsessed with. I am. So where is that balance? I feel like I'm off kilter, in a good way, but in a bad way, but in a good way. I told you I was in a dark place. I'm failing at 5-minute June. My solution to not being able to put everything into 5 minutes is I'm making the 5-minute videos, but I'm also making the 20-minute videos. And I'm okay with that. The irony of doing this for almost 2 weeks is that the number of views on the channel is exactly the same. I thought because I'm averaging about 1,000 views every month, which is nothing by YouTube standards, but I'm floored that people are watching these things. I thought if I made the videos shorter, that maybe more people would watch them. Because 20 minutes is, you have to kind of go, okay, I've got the time to watch this. Because I do that with short videos and long videos. Okay, so I thought if I made them shorter, more people would watch them. Nope. I think the content is so niche. And I think I don't really put pizzazz on the channel. I try to include some of China, where I live. I'm pointing out the window. But I don't edit anymore. I don't add music. I don't do anything that would make it visually appealing. So it's just the content's so niche. I'm guessing that's why. And I'm very comfortable with that 1,000 views a month. I'm floored that it's consistent. And more so, I'm excited to be part of this community. But I think it's funny that I thought shorter videos would help with absorbing this content, with the desirability of this kind of getting inside your brain for language learning, geeky talk. And it doesn't. And in some ways that's kind of nice, because I've been wondering for over a year, is it because the videos are too long that more people aren't hopping on board? And I think, I mean, it's only 2 weeks. We'll find out after the whole month's over. But I think it's pretty clear that it's the niche of the content and the unsexiness of the content. It's interesting, but it's not really something that you'll listen to when you're when you want to unwind. I watch and listen to a lot of goofy videos to turn my brain off at the end of the day. This is not that kind of thing. So I get it, and I totally get it. And it's been fun to do the 5-minute videos. Okay, I'm now at the point where I'm rambling. So yeah, what do you think of this balance between language learning, helping, feeling good about life and having a goal, and being able to eventually communicate with a new population of people and the excitement of that, versus it possibly taking over because it's so time consuming and so mentally consuming and so I suppose addictive is the word I'm looking for. So addictive. Where is that balance between the two? Are you balanced or are you off balanced? Off balanced? Off balance. I don't know. Whatever that word is. Do you have balance with your language learning? That's my radio voice. I don't do that voice in my podcast because that would be awful. But it exists. I'm officially losing my mind. Okay, I'm going to go study for 3 hours before I have a play date. And then I'll study after that because I've got 4 hours of studying today, which I'm looking forward to. That is the irony. Satyen. Bye-bye.